All right, welcome back, everyone. We've made it to our final module. Over the last 6 weeks, we've carefully put together all the pieces, both the technical and the human firewalls that you need for solid AI compliance. Today, we're going to bring it all together by defining the one role that pulls it all together, the Certified AI Compliance Officer. And by the time we're done here, you'll have a full 7-week plan in your hands, one that's designed to get you to 0 compliance violations and, just as importantly, keep you there.
So, let's jump in. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to frame this role not just as a job, but as the guardian of your organization's mission. Then, we'll map out the architecture of the role itself and set up a practical, day-to-day rhythm. After that, we're going to do a deep dive into the Master Governance Dashboard. That's going to be your command center. And finally, we'll walk through the clear steps to get you officially certified.
Okay, first things first, let's really establish why this role exists. It's so important to understand that the AI Compliance Officer isn't just a title you put on a business card. It's fundamentally the shield that's going to protect your organization in this new era of artificial intelligence.
This slide really says it all, doesn't it? Your role is so much more than just checking boxes for compliance. It's about protecting the very people you exist to serve. And we do this by holding up 4 key pillars. First, there's legal defense. This is all about protecting your organization from those huge fines. We're talking up to $7,500 per incident under CPRA. Second, patient trust. In our line of work, healthcare, nonprofits, that trust is everything. Third, operational continuity, which just means making sure your essential services aren't derailed by some rogue AI. And finally, you're setting the ethical guardrails, ensuring that the AI you use is fair and unbiased.
Okay, so we've defined the why. We know what the mission is. But that brings up the big question, right? How do you actually do this? How do you turn these big ideas into real, everyday actions and become this guardian in practice?
Well, we do it by building a really clear and solid architecture for the role. And just like before, this structure is built on 4 pillars of responsibility.
And here they are. This visual breaks it down perfectly. As the compliance officer, you've got your hands in a few key areas. The first pillar is tech and infrastructure. This is where you're managing the kill switches and the consent flags that we've talked so much about. The second is staff and culture. You're the one leading the training, making sure your team is fully certified and ready. Third, vendor relations. This is huge. You're vetting the new tools, you're enforcing contracts, especially when it comes to protected health information, or PHI, and personally identifiable information, PII. And that last pillar? It's leadership and board communication. You're the one who has to take all this complex data and boil it down into clear, actionable updates for your leadership team.
Now, having a great blueprint, a solid architecture is absolutely essential, but it's also static, right? It just sits there. A truly effective compliance program is always in motion. So let's talk about how we move from that architecture into real, continuous action by setting up a consistent operations rhythm. And the model we're going to use for this is what I call the governance flywheel. This idea is really the key to continuous compliance. It's a system that balances your day-to-day tasks with your bigger, long-term strategic reviews. It creates this amazing, self-reinforcing cycle of getting better and better.
Let's look a little closer at how this works. On a weekly basis, you're in a tactical, mostly reactive mode. Your focus is on the immediate stuff, logging new tools, making sure consent banners are working, logging any incidents that pop up. The goal here is just to maintain your baseline defense, to hold the line. But every quarter, you shift gears. You become proactive and strategic. This is when you're reevaluating vendors, doing deep system audits, and reporting up to the board. The goal here is to raise the bar for your entire system. So here's the key takeaway. Your tactical work prevents the daily fires, while your strategic work prevents the whole building from burning down.
Now, to manage this whole flywheel effectively, you need a central command and control system. And that tool, my friends, is the Master Governance Dashboard.
This dashboard, and it's much more than just a spreadsheet, is where all of your governance data lives. But it's not a dusty old library. It's an active, operational interface. It ties together 4 critical functions: your AI tool inventory, your risk heat map, your training tracker, and your incident log. So let's take a look inside each one. We're going to start with the absolute foundation of the whole system, the inventory engine. This is where it all begins. Tab 1. This is your single source of truth. Every AI tool being used in your organization, I mean every tool, from something simple like ChatGPT all the way to complex systems, it has to be logged right here. You'll track the vendor, whether it touches PHI or PII, what it's used for, and the status of the contract. And you have to remember this. Every single undocumented tool is a potential $7,500 fine under the CPRA. This isn't optional, this ledger is non-negotiable.
Okay, from the inventory, we move to tab 2, the risk heat map. This is where the magic happens. We take that raw data from our inventory and we turn it into a clear, actionable threat assessment. We use a scoring system based on risk factors. For example, if a tool uses PHI, that's 25 points. If it makes decisions on its own, maybe that's 30 points. No contract in place, add 20 points. And from there, we get a total risk score for every single tool.
And that risk score isn't just a number, it's a direct order. A high score, what we call a red tool, means you immediately hit the kill switch. No questions asked. A medium score, or yellow, means you have to put a consent banner in place. And a low score, green, means the tool's good to go, but you still need to keep an eye on it. See how this turns a fuzzy assessment into a simple, repeatable procedure? Red, yellow, green.
Now, I want you to just pause for a second and think about this. What's the biggest operational risk your organization would be taking on if you decided to skip this whole risk scoring step? Think about it. You'd be flying blind, with no way to tell a harmless helper tool from a major ticking time bomb.
All right, let's talk about tab 3, the staff certification matrix. Here's a core compliance truth. Your tech is only as secure as the people using it. This tab is where we track the strength of your human firewall. With this matrix, you can see at a glance who on your staff has finished their training on things like CPRA opt-outs, HIPAA data rules, and bias detection. This lets you spot any gaps in your defenses instantly and get them fixed.
And finally, we get to tab 4, the incident escalation protocol. Look, at some point, something will go wrong. An incident is pretty much inevitable. This protocol is your playbook for when that happens. It's designed to turn what could be a moment of panic into a calm, procedural response. As soon as an incident is logged, the dashboard walks you through the steps. Contain it within 24 hours, investigate over the next 3 days, and have your report ready by day 7. It ensures you have a calm, compliant, and methodical response every time.
Now, this slide is really important because it shows how these 4 tabs all work together. They're not separate silos. They are one integrated, responsive compliance engine. For example, when you add a new tool to the inventory, it automatically pops up on the risk heat map. If that heat map flags a high-risk tool, well, that might trigger a need for new staff training, and if an incident gets logged, that new information feeds back into and informs the entire system. It's all connected. So the big idea I want you to walk away with is this. You are not just managing a bunch of spreadsheets. You are piloting a dynamic, living, responsive compliance engine. It's an active system for command and control. This brings us to our final section. We're going to pull everything we've learned over the last 7 weeks together and lay out your official path to certification. And this slide gives you that bird's-eye view of the whole journey. Remember phase 1? That was weeks 1 through 4. We were focused on locking down your technology, building your tool inventory, the risk heat map, the consent banners, the kill switches. That was all about setting up your digital perimeter. Then in phase 2, from weeks 5 to 7, we shifted to human governance. We focused on staff certification, creating that crisis playbook, and setting up the compliance officer's command hub.
And the whole point of this entire process is to get you here, official certification. This credential is what formally gives you the authority to command AI safety in your organization, all according to the rules of CPRA and HIPAA. It's the culmination of all your hard work, and it's the official recognition that you have the expertise and the systems in place to do this right.
So, you now have the complete blueprint. You've got the architecture, the operational rhythm, the command dashboard, and the full 7-week plan. I'll leave you with one final, and I think most important question. Now that you have this blueprint in your hands, what is the very first conversation you need to have to start building this in your organization?